Hey, Edward, thanks for joining us today. As we're getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah. For the past 15 years, I've been working inside of what they call the world's largest financial publisher. I've been selling, publishing products, investment advisories directly to consumers. And about 10 years ago, I transitioned into being the sales manager for that endeavor, growing them. And then our company hit a massive growth trajectory where I took over the customer service and inside sales departments. And really the last 15 years has been really just head down focused on growing that. And then I recently, within the last 6 months, actually decided to make a change and go out on my own and leave the safety net, as it were, and start the entrepreneurial journey.
And how's that going?
Slow to start, but it's going. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it scary?
Yeah, it was and still is. But someone told me, and I'm sure there's many derivations of the quote, but you're either building someone else's dream or your own. And it got to the point where I had done sort of everything I could do. I'm not a huge fan of the status quo. And quite honestly, I think one of my skill sets that I need to develop more is being a better manager. I just enjoy building.
Yeah.
I like the creativity of that. So that's back where I am. That's exciting. Once we've sort of solved all the problems and it's maintenance, I'm not as excited. So this is where I should be.
And when you work for somebody else and you're building someone else's business, every day you kind of wonder, they could just take that away from me at any point.
Yeah.
And what do I have?
Yeah. They're 100%. And, in sales, especially, so in that world, we were direct to consumer. Everything was done online, right? And the phrase I always used is that we weren't the icing on the cake for the business. We were the sprinkles on the icing.
Oh, okay.
Now, my team in the last 5 years that I was running it, we did $100 million over the phone in direct to consumer research products, which is a lot of money. Even then, we were never a big enough, when you compare $25-30 million a year to 350 million in total business, it's nice to have, but you can do without it. So there was that feeling for a long time where it's like, one rep could go rogue and create enough of a firestorm where they say, this just isn't worth it. So yeah, I worked with that in the back of my mind almost every day. And it's not a good feeling. So I like this feeling a little better.
Yeah. And how is it when you have like nothing really behind you? Because as an entrepreneur, it's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's terrifying, honestly, right?
Yes, yeah. Because
um,
when you're part of something that's like, well, you got leads, you got history, you got examples, you got all the infrastructure around you, and you may take that for granted, and then all of a sudden it's
you do. I know now for a fact, and I have always assumed that you do take that for granted, and you see that a lot. It manifests a lot in younger sales reps, younger employees. There's always well, we should just be able to do this. We can do more of this. We could get paid more. It's like, if you knew what it takes to get to this point, you would just be counting your lucky stars that you have a paycheck coming every 2 weeks, and you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. So you do take it for granted, but it's like I said, the building and the creativity is what gives me energy. And that's really what I'm trying to make decisions by, the addition or subtraction of energy in my life. And I just got to the point where it just wasn't personally worth it to continue that way anymore. I needed that next challenge.
Yeah. And are you still passionate about the phone?
I'm passionate about communication.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I've read enough, watched enough and I think that's like the dark secret of sales, is that there is no secret, right? If you keep digging, well, they all say the same thing. Everybody's making the same point, and it's about how to effectively communicate with another human being. And
that's a performance. And that's what people don't, they all look for the words. So
oh,
they
absolutely. And
memorize the words and the opener and the
no,
close.
I would say that all the time. Like we need to have some semblance of a script, whether it's a call flow, an outline, word for word, whatever works for you. But you need to get that to the point where it is like breathing so that you can deliver a performance. And I would say that all the time, because the people that were able to perform were always the best producers, always.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson probably far too late in my career when I was actually selling. I mean, I did the math one time, took like 300,000 sales calls because they're tiny, right? They're tiny 10-minute interactions. And I took a lot of them. And I was performing the wrong way. It was all about me. It was all about the product. Like, look how great we are. Look at this. And then one day it's like, this isn't working. I forgot about product completely because we had tons of products, right? It's in a digital environment, they would spin up a product in 10 days, right? I just put down the information and I just got to a one-on-one, like, hey, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Let me be the doctor and give you the prescription. What are you trying to do? And then it just was a hockey stick in my production and evolution.
Because I always found that if I could get them to talk about themselves.
Sure.
Boom. Because once that wheel starts going,
yeah,
because guess what everyone wants to talk about? Numero
That's why
uno,
I'm
right?
here. That's why I'm here. Right? No, and that is the challenging thing I think about the B2B environment that I've sort of just dabbled in for bits and pieces is, it's harder, I think, to relate those hopes, dreams, fears, desires of the individual you're talking to and how they connect back to the greater corporation. And am I talking to, Sally, who I'm selling HR services to, or is this the company, or is this your boss? Like it's a wild world you guys live in that I don't envy.
The key distinction, I think, is that both people are playing a role.
Sure.
When it's direct to consumer, that person cares about that person and maybe their family.
Sure.
Okay. When you're calling into a company, that person has to at least pretend that they're representing the company, so that it's guarded, it's professional, and then the salesperson makes the mistake of sounding like a rep.
Yeah. Oh God.
Hi, Edwards, Brian today. How's it going?
Oh. Oh, it's so bad, and it's instantaneously, there's this subconscious connection. When you hear that tonality, I'm being sold.
You're taking my time, my attention, and you want my money.
Right.
What's in it for me is it doesn't even hit the prefrontal cortex for a while.
No, absolutely not. No. Yeah, the tonalities, obviously, as you know, it's such a game changer in any conversation, and with your wife, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids. Tonality is, I have a 6 and an 8-year-old, couldn't be more different. The 8-year-old is very conscientious and emotionally aware. The 6-year-old is a bull in a china shop. And I just was talking to him this morning. I'm like, it's not the words, it's how you're saying them.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
And it's, I said it 10,000 times to sales reps. Like, you're saying the right things, you're just not saying them the right way. Yeah. You're making people feel guarded. You're making people like get defensive. Like, just relax.
Because it is like delivering a joke.
Sure.
The words, but we can all, write down Chris Rock's jokes, right?
100%. 100%.
None of us can really deliver them in a way that's hilarious or that's engaging.
It's such a good point, because I'm just plugging this charger in here. Sorry. One of our best performing reps was a stand-up comic, an aspiring stand-up comic.
Has the mindset. They get it. Okay, I do an outline, a script, whatever, an opener, and then I practice it.
Yeah. And I think it's a great analogy for sales training, sales scripting is, and I never knew this until sort of the rise of the comedians and podcasts, right? Where these guys just go on for hours and hours. I just kind of thought comedians like Chris Rock was just funny. Now he is,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he can suffer more than any other human on the face of the earth because he just goes out, plays the crappy small clubs and just tells bad joke after bad joke and goes, okay, well, that's off the list. That kind of worked. And they just do the tour. And then by the time you get to the Netflix special, it's so polished. It's so perfect. Every phrase, tonality, word is so crafted and chosen. And that's the same thing with selling and a script and a process, especially when you're new. It's like, look, you're not supposed to be good at this. You just started. Like, earn your stripes. Take the time.
and that's it, because the caller next to public speaking or death, it's got to be up there calling a stranger.
Yeah. A lot of times. Yeah.
Because if we get a hang up, and I remember my first hang up till today. I remember I got a how rude. I was so upset I had to go run. Had to go do 5 miles. I'm going to call him back and give him a piece of my mind. I'm going to call
Yeah.
his boss.
Right.
And because that's how humans react to rejection.
Sure.
So it takes a long time for you to understand that that's not rejection. That's just life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would try to get, sales reps to understand all the time. Like, look, I don't care how good your product is. I don't care how perfect of a fit it is for this customer. You calling them is an interruption in their day and they don't want it. So we got to just understand that from the get-go that you're doing a bad thing. But we got to get through that.
But it's even worse than an interruption. It's like, because why do we pick up the phone? We want to or have to.
Right. Sure.
Okay. So if we want to, when we find out it's a sales rep, we go from a 90 down to a 0.
Sure. Yeah.
And if we have to, we go from a 90 down to a 20.
Right.
Because now we have to endure this commercial.
Right. Well, I would even maybe argue it's 90 to 0 and go, oh, I have to do this. All right, back up to 20. Let me.
How do you get it back up to 20?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people like, not rocket science, but the people that can just deal with that and have sort of that long-term framework for success, they just do the best. They understand that they're not supposed to be good at this, that they're not supposed to hit the ground running. And they just have to take the time and get better and be committed to getting better, which, is life really. Right.
And have you seen the mindset of the people who play with it and make it a game, make it fun?
Yeah.
See if they can get the person to laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, at the end of the day, B2B, B2C, sales, face-to-face, like it's just another human being. Just relax, right? Just try to have a little bit of fun, get to know that person a little bit. And if you can ethically and honestly help solve their problem, then I think it's your obligation to try to convey that to them.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can't, all right, I learned something new about Brian today, and I'm going to move on and call 120 other people.
Yeah.
But it just gets so built up that, I have to give my presentation and I have to give my points and I have to hit the tonalities. Like, yes, all that's true. But if you boil it down and distill it to just, hey, we're just two people, just like you and I right now, talking, having fun, learn something.
Yeah. And what were some of the key lessons that you got building up a team and becoming great at that?
Probably think of all the mistakes I made first, right? And then just go
even the big ones.
Yeah. I think, okay. So I think at first I thought that we were trying to build a team of killers, right? Team that was totally aligned, that was in it, that wanted to be in it, that wanted to be here, that wanted to produce. I don't think that's necessarily the right way for that environment. I think employee churn is good. I think that you have to be realistic about the time horizon of how an effective rep is, and be real with that. Like in our world, there was a huge difference from 0 to 18 months and 18 months plus. And here I am thinking at 6 months, all right, how do I get this guy or girl to stay for 2-3 years? And I was just solving the wrong problem. I needed to, the way that we do it now is, we have very small incremental sort of micro promotions along the way, getting them. And in 18 months, it's like, okay, where are we going to go? Are we going to help you get a job somewhere else? Are we going to get you into marketing? There's only so many senior roles that can be had in sales. There's only so many managers, right? So you're not going to go there. So thinking more of it as a career development path, on the job training for their next role. That was what I learned, at least in our sort of B2C environment, was, 18 months is just kind of the end in our world. But the churn's okay. Like, you always have to find good people. So why not just be good at that?
And what did you look for when you were interviewing? Because the washout rate must have been pretty high, like in the first 3 months.
It was pretty good. And I'll tell you the best thing I did. The best lesson I learned is that I'm not good at hiring people, to be completely honest.
So you gave it to someone else.
I hired someone that was better than me.
Yeah.
What I found is because we were hiring a lot of sort of our perfect candidate was first, maybe second job out of college, marketing major, tended to be a little bit more creative in the writing space, right? And I'd sit down in these interviews, and I remember one specifically, this woman, I was like, so what do you want to do? Like growing up, like I would say this a lot. I was like, look, when I was 5 years old, I was in kindergarten, and my teacher said, draw me a picture of what you want to be when you grow up. And I said, no one in the world ever drew themselves with a headset on. Never. In the history of time has that ever happened. So I know you have hopes, dreams, desires that are outside of this conversation, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So she told me she wanted to be in fashion. And I said, that's pretty cool. Why are we talking then? Like, how does this get you to fashion?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. Like, okay. Go to New York. We're 3 hours away. Go to New York. Do anything other than this. And then that's when the woman I hired to do our recruiting and hiring and HR, she was like, maybe I'll just handle these from now on. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should. Because I would just get so frustrated and try to get down to what they really want to achieve. Because look, I think that any job is leverage. They're leveraged. The company's leveraging you, and you should be leveraging the company to further your career.
And so many of us can be ballers, right?
Yeah, right. Like, if this isn't going to get you to the next phase quicker or better or make you better to get there, why are you doing it? Mm-hmm. I understand we need a paycheck, but so many of us, especially early in life, early to mid 20s, would be better served by, being a bartender, being a waiter, and working on our true core desires during the day and making ends meet at night and on the weekends. Yeah. And people get caught in the trap of, I got to get the job and I got to pay the loans. And it's like, I understand it. Obviously, I did it. I stayed in one place 15 years, probably 5 years too long. But honestly, I did. I just think if we had a little bit more honesty with ourselves about what we want to achieve, and really, I think not many people really know what they want. And that becomes really hard in managing and hiring when it's like, I want to help you, but you don't even know what you want. So how am I supposed to help you?
Yeah. And what did this person do that was able to find the right people?
Trial and error in the beginning. We did a lot of employee surveys. We did a lot of, how you feeling, Johnny's? How's it going, Susie's? But I think we realized that we weren't looking for a 5-year fit. We were looking for someone who could and should effectively leverage this 12 to 24 month opportunity. Yeah. And I think we started presenting it as that. We were part of a much larger company that I think afforded us the ability to preach to give them to understand that they can go into other realms of the company. But I think it was just being honest about the leverage and the timeline. Like, look, we're trying to get you 12 to 18 months, and then move you on. That's where we see the peak performance. And I think a lot of people that terrifies some people. Some people just want to get a job, do their
Stay,
thing and
right.
don't have to worry about it, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
But a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, really? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking for the long haul.
You must have seen some kind of distinction between like that top 10% and the rest, the middle
I
of the
think the
pack.
top 10% knew what they wanted to do with their life.
Yeah.
They
saw this as an avenue,
yeah,
a
absolutely. Like,
springboard.
absolutely. And sometimes it was developing skills. Sometimes it was just a way to earn more money than they could
Yeah,
anywhere else
right.
and stack some cash. Um, I do believe that the top 10% were people that at least thought they knew what they wanted from life. They had outside goals and desires. Like, nothing would frustrate me more when it's like, what do you want to do? And where do you see yourself in 2-3 years? Well, I see myself here really contributing to the bottom line and getting ingrained in culture. Like, no, you don't.
No,
Don't lie to me.
you don't know what that means.
And if that's true, get out of here, because that's just ridiculous. So the people that could articulate that, they just saw the leverage, and we were upfront about leveraging the situation, and they had places they want to go. So they like I told you, the stand-up comic, I mean, he just was sincerely and intensely motivated to stack cash to get to New York.
Right. And it's, although it's not comedy, it's pretty close to comedy. And
yeah, he was actually developing some of the skills that,
yeah.
that it, and I, so many, because we had such a I mean, at one time we had 75 people in our team. Over the years, I mean, hundreds and hundreds, and I have sat back for many hours, and we have consulting reports about who did the best, and I look at it and I'm like, none of this is getting to the heart of what is really attributing to success. And I just think it's people that have that goal, they have that focus, they want something, and they're going to go achieve it, and they realize it's okay that this isn't it, it's just for right now.
That's it. Because I see a lot of resumes or LinkedIn profiles where it's 6 months, 6 months, 6 months at different places. And I think they're trying to find something that's their calling or their passion.
Sure.
And sometimes that's not the right way to take it.
No, and I don't think so, because you're starting over. I mean, you might go from 100 on the experience level back down to 5, and then the next time it's back to 7 or 8, but you're just starting over. And I think just, getting clear on what you want to achieve is what everyone should do, and is the easiest and most concrete way to develop your path to success, whatever it is. And be honest. I would tell, another reason why I don't do interviews. I would tell kids, I was like, look, I wish I loved imported pickles. They'd be like, what? I mean, like, the point is, I wish I had a deep burning desire and passion, because it would be clear. I'd write a blog about imported pickles. I'd have a YouTube channel, an Instagram, a TikTok, all about imported pickles. That's all I do. It's what I love. It landed for some did not get it. They were stuck on the pickle analogy. But if you've got to figure out what is your imported pickle? What is your stand-up comedy? Where are you trying to go? And then take steps to get there, and knowing not every step is going to be a direct connection to that. We can leverage, we can borrow some time, but changing jobs, changing roles, changing companies every 6 months, you're only hurting yourself. Like,
right, because most comedians would take the doorman job at the comedy store. But how many doormen do they need, right?
Right.
Two.
I mean, none really, right?
Doors can hold themselves open.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm going to talk to strangers every day, all day.
Yeah. And like I said, I've had, give or take, whatever, 10, 20,000. I've had roughly 300,000 unique conversations in my life. Not many people can say that. And it afforded me a lot of some skill, tons of experience, and just an understanding of people and communication that, someone in comedy, or someone that wants to be a writer, or, just about anything is going to be able, you're going to be able to leverage that and just consolidate some life experience. Right. I mean,
because
Compressing time is the number one skill that you could create, right?
it is a great springboard to so many things in life. And money is a great thing to have when you're young, because most don't have it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and I've seen people who, if you're able to, really push through that first year, second year of sales, and too many of us, we have to start at the very bottom with the hardest of the hard. And we think
Mhm.
that's the way it is. But it
Right.
does get easier as you get better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think not enough people have the humility to sort of to be a fool. Like there's a Jordan Peterson quote about you. Every time you start something new, you're going to be a fool. You have to have the courage to be a fool, because everybody that started was a fool. And you just
Yes.
have to get through that. And that you have to have the willingness to kind of sit in the pain and
Yeah.
just know it's going to get better. And, we were, in any sort of open sales environment, the new guy, like God, you could see him. He's just like, he's talking real low. He's leaning down. He's looking over. Like,
His hat over his eyes.
yeah, he's just like, God, don't listen to me. Please don't listen to me. And you just got to like, that's on the manager too, right? You got to like, these guys, Billy over there, he was awful. He was the worst, but he got better. Just take your time, relax. There's so much pressure on sort of like that achievement and the time that we put on ourselves that just is really detrimental to what we're trying to achieve so often. Just take your time, sit in the pain for a little bit. It'll be all right.
And what has helped you on your entrepreneurial journey? What mindset or viewpoint of it keeps you going? Because I'm sure
I mean,
the magnet of come back to safety and security of a big company. And
yeah, well, I think I got clear on what I wanted.
yeah,
Right. And I don't want to have the feeling that it can be just taken away at any point.
that's yeah.
And a lot of times, when you're an employee, sometimes you can do too well. You can
Definitely.
you
Right.
can reach a level where
Yeah,
it's like
you get fired for doing too well or too bad.
right.
Which
You've
means
achieved a certain
mediocrity.
level. Right. So living with that was not something I enjoyed. After in my situation, after I don't want to say I figured it out because I certainly didn't, but I solved all the problems that I could see. And it's like, there's no extra
Challenge.
creativity. There's no challenge. But the mindset I think that has helped me and going to help me and serve me the best in the entrepreneurial journey is getting clear on what I want. I want to own my own time more than anything. I used to think that I wanted maybe not own a private jet, but ride in private jets, right? Like there was these
Right.
material financial goals, right? And it's like, nah, if that means I have to live this way day to day, I don't want that. I've been very lucky. I'm very grateful for what we've achieved. We have some time. We have a nice life. I want to keep this as it is, but doing it on my own. And I know it's going to take time. I know I'm going to be a fool. And I know that if I just sit in it, deal with the pain and keep trying, it's going to get better.
Yeah. It's a lot like that first mile. I'm a runner, and that first mile is always, it's so hard. But if you get through it, then all of a sudden you get your rhythm, you get momentum, and you feel like, who's that guy that ran across the country back and forth in the movie? Forrest Gump. Yeah, it feels that way. It's like, I could just run all day.
Right. Now, see, I don't get that.
No.
I cannot stand running, but I did, what I did purposely is when I made the switch, effectively I had nowhere to be. And I did not want to let that lack of schedule or momentum build. So what I started doing is I get out of bed when I wake up. Now for 3 days in a row, that was at 2:30 in the morning. Most days it's about 4:30. I get out of bed and I start moving. The gym, which is a mile from my house, opens at 5. I'm there between 5 and 5:30. Now, most days I'll do a workout, but if I go there and I just get in the sauna for a half an hour and leave, the process was achieved.
Yeah.
So I'm just building in process. So
Yes.
I get that. Like you have to just get the rhythm. You have to go. You have to keep going. And then momentum. Momentum is just so underrated. Doing something even for 30 seconds every
Yes.
day is just so powerful.
Cool. Hey, Edward, I really appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
Edward B. Anderson on LinkedIn, social media. I'm out there. Our website for our new venture is paramountra.co. We're Paramount Revenue Advisors, specifically really helping direct to consumer online educators, course creators is sort of the first niche we're attacking. But LinkedIn, I'm on there all the time.